Somebody poisoned the water hole. Candlewood is currently streaming on Tubi. It was written and directed by Mike Furham, written as well by Joseph Patrick Conroy and Victoria Flores Argue, and apparently is dedicated to the memory of a couple people that meant a lot to the filmmaker. May they rest in peace. Just wanted to get that right out of the way. It is a low-budget horror effort that is on Tubi that seems to be the home, the destination of, well, basically any kind of horror, whether it was made for a few bucks, whether it was made for a couple million and was just shelved for a while. Tubi really, besides Shudder, is the destination for horror. Horror that you forgot about, horror that you didn't even know existed. So if you want to, dive into Tubi. No, I'm not sponsored, just wanted to say that. And this involves a family that moves to New Milford, Connecticut, which apparently is an actual place. And if you go to Letterboxd and type in Candlewood, you actually will see reviews from a lot of citizens of New Milford. And based on how they're describing that particular city, it sounds like a lot of cities here in Washington State. The more things change, the more they stay the same, regardless of geographical location. So yeah, this family moves into this home. They don't study up on the history. It has a dark history, and that dark history bubbles up to the goddamn surface. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, it's like the Amityville Horror, like Amityville Haunting, almost filmed the same way, not found footage, which is oddly impressive that they could pull that off, with a blur filter, some weird ghosts, and a family of unlikable douches. Actually, to be perfectly honest, every single character in this movie, not the actors. I am not knocking the actors in any possible way. Anything that I say is about the characters. The characters are terrible. Absolutely terrible. They're not even one note. They're rice paper thin. And if you've seen one Amityville horror movie, if you've seen one horror movie, you've seen this. Is it the absolute worst that I have seen? No. Is it the most phoned in generic type? Sure. Were there things that could have worked in this, regardless of budget, if, I don't know, like maybe the characters weren't unlikable douches? Yeah, probably. But basically, the theme is, well, when outsiders come in, you have to respect the property. That's really about it. It is on Tubi if you want to check it out. But yeah, pretty goddamn low budget and not all that. I was laughing at it. I'll say that much. Even as I'm sure everybody was trying their absolute best, I was just laughing. Because how could you not laugh at something that was about 80 minutes long and felt like it had about an hour tacked onto its runtime? That being said, 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So we open up with a couple people dead on a beach, and then a guy apparently shoots himself in the head. Then we go to this family arriving, where there's a dad, a wife that apparently suffered some form of assault in the big city, and that's why they moved to this countryside home, where the realtor even said, yeah, the previous family previous tenants felt like they didn't need to take any of their furniture with them, on account of the opening shot that we saw. And yeah, the daughter, Sarah's not very happy. There's a son, Mateo, who is Veronica's kid. Sarah is, Kevin's kid. And basically, it's a unified front until it becomes very obvious that something is going horribly wrong here. The guy named Eli, well, Elijah, but Eli for short, Jeffrey Allen Solomon, is really about the only guy that seems to be putting in any, anytime he's on screen, he at least seems to be trying to chew up the scenery and acting like, it's like, well, no, you're not going crazy at all. You can't possibly be going crazy. They are going crazy because he is a property manager and he is putting a hallucinogen in their water supply. And that's basically it. There's mushrooms growing out of the ground. That's shown at the very end. There's a little story about a white woman, an Indian woman and a white guy that could not be together, so they took their own lives at this place called Lover's Leap. It was like a cliff with a beachside thing, and there's a bridge over it. They don't really explore that, except they show some ghosts thrown in our faces. And they will just mention a couple things, and then they'll just move on. That's why you can tell when 3 writers are involved. And I have nothing against anybody getting a chance to, flex their creative muscles, and you got to start somewhere. But 3 writers for this is way too many. That is way too many for this messy fiasco. And yeah, the blur filter was overused, obviously to, hide the fact that the budget was not very high, which is fine. You don't need a huge budget if you are able to pull off a halfway decent ghost story, but this is like if the Hallmark Channel decided to make a ghost story. So there's this one girl, Brandy with an I. Actually, I do have to say, in addition to Jeffrey, at least Brandy, Jessica Altschuler, she does fine as the eventually revealed as the daughter of Eli. She's kind of like, the young, pretty brunette that, may be moving in on the husband. And Veronica is jealous. The thing is, though, is while all this stuff sounds good, none of it's earned. It just all feels like stifled. It all feels like very static. A lot of these scenes are taking place. The family starts to lose it. They take little jabs at each other. Veronica's on some pills. There's a shotgun over a fireplace. Gee, I wonder if that's going to factor into the finish. It does. And also, the husband suspects that Eli is on his property sneaking around. He is. He's basically putting something in the water supply, the plants, that kind of stuff. So they end up basically freaking the fuck out and taking their own lives. Because if you don't respect the property, we're going to do this. The thing is, he's already doing this stuff. So if you don't want people living in that house, why do you keep doing this? I mean, that's really like one question, but whatever, it's fine. And yeah, we basically have things come to a head. The daughter gets her hand cut because the wife's hallucinating. The wife does not seem to care for her stepdaughter, by the way. And force the pills down the mother's throat. And she's freaking out, but then she's also upset because she feels her husband is trying to kill her. Which, it actually turns out he is, but again, none of this really feels earned. It just feels like we're going the Amityville horror checklist, checkbook, tic-tac-toe, like whatever game you want to go with. And the dad has a shotgun. He thinks he sees Eli. He ends up shooting Sarah, not realizing it. Then he thinks he sees Eli over there, but he shoots Mateo. His wife ends up stabbing him in the neck. But then he's able to shoot a shotgun with just one hand. I guess he already had it cocked. And then another family arrives. And, oh yeah, by the way, we, again, have the aforementioned picking of the mushrooms and Brandy with an eye talking a bit to her dad. And I probably skipped over some things that might have sounded really good on paper. But no, this movie's pretty fucking atrocious. I'm sorry. I don't wish for the filmmakers or any of the cast to not be able to find work. But when a movie is shit, I gotta call it shit. Gets an F. Check out my Letterboxd reviews if you want. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentlin. Until we meet again, happy trails to you.